Hello, everyone. I'm Cord Whitaker, and it's my great pleasure to be hosting our conversation today on bodily autonomy and white allyship. Where do we go from here? What do we do now in this very particular historical, social, and political moment that we're all experiencing? It's my great pleasure today to have two of my favorite folks to talk to about matters of allyship. Folks with great expertise and folks with great sensitivity to the matters of anti-racism in general, white allyship in particular, and gender equity as well. So our guests today are Lesley S. Curtis, the founder of Sagely, which is a consulting firm focusing in anti-racism and gender equity. It's great to have Dr. Curtis with us here today, whose expertise ranges broadly within matters of race and gender and their intersections in particular. And then we also have with us Dan Mahle, who is an expert in anti-racism as well as the masculinity side of gender and the ways that masculine allyship can work in matters of gender equity as well. Dan does consult with Sagely, for which those of us involved with Sagely are very grateful. And Dan is also the founder of Wholehearted Masculine, a firm focusing on gender equity and coaching. Dan is, of course, a certified coach, and coaching in particular with those who seek to be masculine allies. So it's great to have them here today. I think we're going to get a lot from their expertise. So let me begin simply by opening up with the question for both of you, Lesley and Dan. You're experts in white allyship, and I believe it would be fair to say that you're also folks who are very committed to being white allies yourselves. And so what does white allyship mean? What does it mean in general and for you?
Dan, I guess I'll take that one first.
Please.
So thanks so much for introducing us. And yeah, just to say the three of us, Cord, Dan, and I do work together with Sagely. And we also have Krishni on this call too, who does work with us as well. So we came up with this title of white allyship and bodily autonomy because we really felt like the work that we were doing speaks to the current moment, and it speaks to really what's going on right now. And we knew, particularly the work that Dan and I do with white allies, we knew that there was a way that we could talk about our experience that might offer some hope for people. So the question about white allyship is really an important one because we've been working, especially for the last couple years, with people who are troubled by the events that are going on, who are coming into a new sense of awareness of, the way racism works and plays out in our lives all the time. People who are starting to see systems that they never saw before, inequality in systems that they didn't see before. And I think one of the reasons why Dan and I in particular are very well positioned to work with people at that time is that we've been studying and working through and trying to understand these systems for a really long time. And Cord, your question is good because you also talk about like, what does it mean to us? I think one of the reasons why we do the work that we do and why we're well positioned to do it is that it does have personal meaning, and it is a personal journey for us as well. So what I would say about allyship is I kind of visualize it as, it's walking with someone, right? It's having an awareness of whatever it is that they're going through, and it's agreeing to be beside them and to witness it as it's happening. I think one of the most important things, and this is something that I'm always doing on my journey, is to be beside the person and not kind of like all up in their business. Like, one of the most powerful things you can do is envision somebody as capable of handling whatever it is. So that's what when I think about allyship, I think about it that way. And one of the ways to do that is to focus on yourself. That's going to sound maybe counterintuitive, but to manage your own emotions. A lot of people are having these emotions like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Wow, this is so difficult. This is terrible. What can I do? They're having all these kinds of emotions. And there's an invitation to really work through that and figure out what that means for you, so that you can occupy that position side by side as a guide for someone. And that is something that is going to be applicable to this moment too, when we're talking about bodily autonomy as well. Because that's actually a model for respecting the wholeness of another person by remaining and focusing on your own wholeness. That's my first thought about it. Dan, I'm sure you have more to add.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Lesley, and that's a great way to start us off. And I would just add that I think of three things in particular around allyship, and that is embodiment, empathy, and accountable action. Embodiment, because as Resmaa Menakem talks about, trauma lives in the body, and this is collective trauma work that we're doing. And we need to be accessing and in relationship with our bodies deeply as we engage in this work in order to stay aligned with our values and to be present to our emotional being and to not get swept up in the patterns that would seek to dehumanize us and separate us by separating ourselves from our own bodies, first and foremost. And then from that place of embodiment, empathy can arise because our bodies attune to the bodies of others. And we start wondering, what would it be like to be in their shoes, to be in their position? And we have an embodied sense of that rather than just a hypothetical idea of what it might be like. And so that empathy starts to build bridges to other experiences that we've never had, that I've never had as a cisgendered white man. And those bridges can begin to create rehumanizing culture just by creating the possibility of understanding each other. And then from there, it's, listening and learning and being aware of, well, what needs to change in this culture, in this environment, on this team, and then bringing that home to accountable action. And when I say accountable action, it's not just action that seeks to do well or wants to help people or rescue people or save people. There's a lot of that energy that bubbles up in me, in particular as a white man with my training. Like, how do I help those people with their problem? And what I've realized and continue to realize again and again is it's not their problem and it's not those people. It's our challenge and it's all of us. And as I begin to notice that and feel that in my body, then the action arises from a deeper place and a more connective and relational place. And it's not about fixing a problem. It's about being present to the challenge together. And that's the only way that I can really be a part of meaningful change, because when my action arises from the same energy that, white supremacy culture and patriarchal culture have instilled in me, then I can't help but replicate it, even if I mean well. And so even if my intentions are really great, my impact may not be. And there's something really beautiful that happens when I start trusting the unknown of our collective capacity to be present to the challenges and to turn toward each other rather than turning at each other as some sort of savior. How do we turn toward each other as co-creators? So that's what I really think of when I look at allyship.